Hello everyone and welcome to the challenge mode gold guide for the Bloodmaul Slag mines. This instance is a little harder than a lot of the other ones, but still pretty doable once you figure out what to pull and what pace you need to go at. So for this first pull, we're just going to grab the first two mobs that you see here right before the bridge, and we're going to drag them over to the other three mobs that are also on the bridge. And you're gonna just cleave all 5 of them down, paying attention to the Overseer. The Overseer will cast Suppression Field and Subjugate. You're gonna want to try and focus your interrupts on the Subjugate, not so much Suppression Field. You can just run out of Suppression Field, but the Subjugate will basically stun a player as long as it's being channeled. Do note that the Ogres also cleave, so you're gonna want to watch out for the cleave, as well as they enrage, as that's actually what just killed me. Is the Ogres Enrage, and you might want to Trank Shot that or Shiv it or something that can get rid of Enrages, as they do a lot of damage. I obviously should have used another cooldown there, so you might want to use some cooldowns there. It's up to you. Once those are dead though, you're going to make your way to the next pack on the left. Be careful not to pull the Pat with this pack, and you're going to focus your attention on the Geomancer. The Geomancer is going to cast a stone shield or stone bulwark on him and his allies, and that for 15 seconds he will basically take no damage, and you need to purge this off of him, or just don't let him get it off at all. You're going to focus him though, do most of your damage to him so that he doesn't get too many off, and you can interrupt it. It is a 1 second cast, but he'll cast it again afterwards, so you still need a purge. Once the Geomancer is dead, you can pull the next Pat. You can pull the 2 patting Ogres with the 2 Ogres that are left over, and you can just cleave them all down. Try not to get hit by the cleave stun like I did. So you definitely don't want to do that. You take a lot of damage. I almost died there. So definitely you want to get out of that cleave. Once these mobs are about dead, or either fully, completely dead or about to die, you can continue on. I'm pretty sure we killed this mob before we continued on, just because they're really annoying with their cleave. You're going to want to skip the first slaver you see on the left, but you're going to pull the second slaver and the third slaver that you see, as you're going to need these for mob count. Note, the Ogres running out do not count for mob count, but if you have a Warlock, he can Shadow Fury off of them, or not Shadow Fury. He can use his if he's Destro, he can use his Execute ability off of them, and that'll give you a lot of embers for the next couple of pulls. You can get a bunch of embers. You can Havoc, Shadow Burn. That's what it is. You can Havoc Shadow Burn. Once those 2 slavers are dead, you're gonna pull not this entire hallway. We found that the Molten Earth Elemental and the Raging Elementals actually did a lot of damage, so you just want to pull until you get one of the big mobs in this hallway. So the first thing we came across was the Molten Earth Elemental, and we just killed him. And then once you kill him, you can kill the Vengeful Magma Elemental. You don't want to pull both of them together. You want to pull them separately if you can. They do a lot of damage. Once you do kill both of them, you can just drag the mobs along with you. The rest of them don't really do too much. The Unstable Magma Elemental doesn't really do too much, and they all slowly die anyways. They have like a debuff that decreases their health. So you're gonna go straight to the Magma Lord, and you're gonna pull him. You can interrupt his fireball abilities, which if you do, you're able to move him. Note, however, he does summon fire tornadoes in melee, so melee, you need to watch out for this. They do actually a lot of damage. As you can see, I'm trying my best to avoid them, and when I felt I couldn't avoid them anymore in a certain area, I would interrupt him and then move him to a fresher, more clean area that are free of tornadoes. Note that the 2 furnaces on the left and the right will spew out like a flamethrower, and this will also cause ads to summon. They don't really do too much. They're just, you cleave them with the Magma Lord. But once he's dead, you can go either left or right. We chose to go right. You'll kill the Vengeful Magma Elemental here. You don't want to pull him with the next pull, since the next pull is pretty deadly. But he doesn't really do too much. You just kill him. You kill the ads that he spawns. They really don't do too much. Once you do kill him though, you're gonna continue on to the next pack. This next pack is probably the hardest pull in the entire instance, and you're gonna want to use all of your cooldowns for it. All your defensive cooldowns most likely for this. If you're a Death Knight, you can Army of the Dead here, and it will take a lot of the pressure off of you. But if you are not a Death Knight, you need to be careful here. There's going to be 2 ogres casting Lava Burst. They'll also cast a buff on themselves and on the warder, which makes them immune to interrupt effects and increases the damage they do. This is purgeable, and you need to purge it or spell steal it. Either one works. But you need to watch out for the Bloodmaul Warder. He casts something called Frightening Roar, and this will fear everyone around you for 7 seconds. If your tank gets feared by this, he will most likely die, as that is way too much damage for him to tank while he is just sitting there getting beat on. Be careful though, they can buff the Warder to make his fear unkickable. So you need to be very fast on purging it off of him to kick him. If you're a DK, you can Dark Sim their cast too. It does a lot of damage. But once you've killed those, you're going to go and pull Forge Master Gogdu. He doesn't do too much. He just summons a bunch of magma puddles, and then he'll also summon 2 mobs. He'll summon a Ruination, which is the Earth Elemental you see, and also summon Calamity. The Ruination will just do a frontal cleave, which will stun you. As you see, I got stunned there, so you want to avoid that. The only thing Calamity does is he'll chain cast Scorch. Just let that go off, it doesn't do too much. He'll do a debuff that the healer has to dispel off of 2 people, which is fine. And he'll do something called Firestorm. The Firestorm ability is what you must kick, and he's actually the priority target here, not the Earth Elemental. So make sure you interrupt the Firestorm, make sure you kill the Fire Elemental as soon as you can. Once you've gotten the boss to 0%, the main boss will come out. He doesn't do too much, he just does an AoE stun around him, like the Mist of Pandaria rares used to do. You just get out of that, and you won't get hit. He'll also summon ads, and what these ads do is they summon like fire pools all around. They disappear pretty fast. And they'll also cause earth spikes to go out in a cross section, like a cross pattern, so just don't get hit by those. We found it easier to just ignore the elementals that he summons and just keep burning the boss because he does have a lot of health. However, note that if you feel like you are becoming overwhelmed, that your DPS isn't high enough, you might want to kill maybe the first elemental that he spawns and then choose to ignore the rest. We were starting to get to a point where they were all starting to do a lot of damage, but we didn't wipe, so that's fine. For this boss, you're going to want to use Lust at the very start of the encounter, just to kill the 2 ads that the guy summons pretty fast. You don't want them to be up for too long, they're pretty annoying. This boss isn't too hard at all, so once you've killed him, you're just going to go back the way you came. You don't need to go back to the other side, you don't want to pull those, it's wasted, you'll have mob count. And so you'll just go back the way you came, and you're going to go towards the right side of Bloodmaul Slag Mines. You don't want to go the left side to the 3rd boss. You're gonna go to the right side to kill the Slaver. Ignore that Slaver on the right side. You don't need him again. You don't need it for mob count. When you get to the mobs over here, you're gonna want to pull the Patrol, the Enforcer Patrol, and the 2 Slavers. You can ignore the guy who is sleeping. You don't need him for. I mean, you do need him for mob count. You just don't want to pull him with these. This pull is big enough. This multiple Slavers together really hurt because their enrage stacks up pretty fast. Don't get hit by the Enforcer Cleave. Again, that's really bad. This pack is pretty easy. Most of the mobs in here are pretty simple to take care of. Once they're really low, you're going to go ahead and pull the Sleeping Slaver, just so you can kind of cleave it down with them. And once most of them dies, you're going to go ahead and pull the next pack. Actually, I believe you wait for the Slaver to be killed. You don't need it alive. The time is more than generous enough for this instance, so you don't want to make big risky pulls. But again, there's a Geomancer in this pull. You're going to want to focus him down, kick his shield, his Earth Shield. Make sure you dispel it if he gets it off. Don't worry about the other 2 ogres. You just want to focus on the Geomancer for now, so you don't have to deal with his stone bulwark anymore. And once he's dead, you're gonna focus on the enforcer. You don't really need to focus on the overseer. You can just kick his subjugate. The enforcer does the frontal cleave, so I feel he's a little more dangerous. So just focus on the enforcer, and then you can kill the overseer after, or you can kill the overseer first. It really doesn't matter. They really don't do too much. Just make sure you're kicking subjugation, and you'll be fine. Once you've killed that, be careful, don't pull the pat that is around here. You don't want to pull the pat. These two ogre mages will again buff the warder with a buff that prevents him from being interrupted and makes him do more damage. This is very bad because you can't kick. See, here I tried kicking, but I couldn't because they put the buff on him just before I kicked. So I had to sit that entire fear, and I did die. So you need to be fast with purging. Luckily we had a B-res, but he needs to be purged, or you need to pump like a lot of heals into your tank, or your tank needs to pop a major CD if there's no way they can interrupt because he has the buff. The mages do a lot of damage. You can Dark Sim their Fire Blast if you are a DK, or you want to use cooldowns on it, little cooldowns on him just so you don't get blasted. Here you're gonna have two warders. Both of them do cast a fear. You just need 2 melee interrupts on them, or the range can interrupt one, and the tank you can interrupt like the one you mark. You're gonna just mark one of them to burn it down, so you only have to deal with one of them casting the fear and not 2 of them. Definitely don't let the fear go off. If you let the fear go off, you'll probably die here again. But I mean, they go down simple enough. You have enough time between fears that your melee kick ability should be up. It's only a 15-second cooldown, so once they are killed, you will go ahead and pull the second boss. This is a pretty simple boss. It's almost exactly the same as Heroic. He just does more damage like most of the challenge mode bosses. The main thing you need to note is you need to move out from in front of him if he does that, if he kicks the stone at you. You can't get hit by that. It does too much damage and it'll stun you and ruin your DPS. Make sure you get as many kicks as you can on Ferocious Yell as well. That'll buff him too much, and it'll buff everything around him. It's not the end of the world if it gets off. Just be aware the boss is going to start doing a lot more damage. Once he does that giant AoE thing, he will jump on one of the ranged players or melee and cause all of these slavers to go to that person and attack that person. So you need to kill the slavers, or the miners, I guess. The miners are the most important thing to kill in this fight, so you definitely want to kill them. So they don't get too many stacks on whoever they're targeting. They do put a debuff up that makes you take more damage, so you definitely want to kill them. But once they're dead, you still want to just be cleaving off of the boss. It should be enough to kill them if you just cleave off the boss. But if you feel like you're falling a little behind, you might want to focus them. So again, after every AoE smash he does, he jumps on someone and roots them in place, and causes all the miners to attack him. It's not too big of a deal. This is a pretty simple boss. Just make sure you get every interrupt on him and you'll be good. Once this boss is defeated, you are going to Invis past everything here. We accidentally pulled the patrol, but you're going to want to CC both of the patrol members. See, our monk here accidentally pulled. And basically what this means is even when the CC fades, they're going to aggro to us. So we have to pull the Overseer and kill him. We thought that you could just leave the Geomancer CC'd and he wouldn't come after us, but he actually does come after you. So if for some reason you get into combat with them before the CC goes off, or you get in combat with them at all, you do have to kill them. But so just make sure you just run past them, and then you're going to Invis past these ogres right here that are guarding the boar. Make sure you get past them, don't get into combat, don't use any abilities once you Invis or it'll break your Invis. You're also going to go past this pack right here at the end of the bridge. You don't want to pull them, and you don't need to pull them. But once you've Invis past everything, you're going to go ahead and pull the third boss. One very important thing to note on this third boss is those mobs are still there at the end of the bridge. So whenever he is doing his Fiery Wind pushback, You need to make sure if you are ranged that you are getting up as close to melee as you can, and you are not trying to cast. Don't bother trying to cast in this phase. You'll just get pushed back way too much, and you can potentially aggro those mobs. And you don't want them aggroed during this boss pull, or you will wipe. Again, normal heroic mechanics. 3 boulders will come down, 3 boulders will come back. Don't get hit by the boulders, it does too much damage. The geomancer you see here is from the patrol. Remember when our monk aggroed, we only killed one of them. We thought the other one wouldn't come after us, but it actually did come after us. Thankfully, he doesn't put his geomancer shield on the boss, so you can just DPS the boss. You don't really need to worry about the geomancer. He does nothing. Like, he does almost no damage. So just keep going on the boss, and you know, just ignore the geomancer for now. But once this boss does die, you will kill the geomancer before you continue on, just because he's kind of annoying. And again, whenever he does use Heat Wave, you do not want to be casting if you're ranged, because if you do pull the mobs at the end of the bridge, it is an instant wipe. There's no way you will survive all of those mobs and this boss. It's just not going to happen. So again, once the boss dies, go ahead and kill the geomancer. Once the geomancer dies, you're just going to continue on. Eventually down the hallway you're going to come across the Bloodmaul Ogron. Bloodmaul Ogron, it does do a lot of damage, but it's not too big of a deal if it's by itself. Just, you want to pull this and kill it by itself. You do not want to pull him with the other 2 Ogron. They do too much tank damage, and they also do an AoE stomp, which does about 50k damage to everyone. So if 3 of them are doing the stomp at the same time, that's 150k to everyone. And they do this fairly often, so it is just too much damage to heal through. Even 2 of them is, it's not really pushing it, but it's noticeable damage when it's 2 of them. But if you're a Death Knight, you're gonna army here. This is the perfect place to army for your second army, as these do a lot of tank damage. Also note, these do knockback, so you do not want to get knocked back into the lava, because that will kill you. So make sure you position yourself correctly so that you don't get knocked back into the lava. If you're a tank, you're gonna probably want to use a couple cooldowns here once your army fades, or if you don't have army. They do a lot of damage, a lot of melee damage, and you know, so they could potentially kill you. So just want to be liberal with your cooldowns on this pull. You don't need it for the next pack, and you don't need them for the boss. So this is the last place where you really will need tank cooldowns. Make sure you do mark one with a skull and you focus that one down first, and then you start DPSing the other one. And you can cleave off of them, but just make sure you're cleaving off of the skull so that one of them dies faster. Once both these Ogrons are dead, you can go ahead and pull all 4 of these ogres together. They literally just do nothing. All they do is a frontal fire spell. You just sidestep it. It's like no damage. This pull is really, really easy. If you can interrupt their exploding flames, go ahead and do it. But if not, it's not really a big deal. Again, you just don't stand in the flame jets and you're fine. Like, this pull really does nothing. Once these ogres are dead, you're going to go ahead and just pull the boss. You're going to use your second lust here on this boss, as you just want to get out of this as fast as you can. Note, his cast ability can be dark simmed, but for the most part you want to interrupt that. You're going to need an interrupt rotation because one player cannot get every interrupt. And the reason why you want to do this is every time he does the cast and successfully gets it off, he increases his damage by 15% and it stacks. If he does get a 3rd stack, you will wipe instantly. He will do an ability that just wipes you. So if for any reason you do get 2 stacks, you just want to purge it off of him. or spell steal it. If you have a mage, just let him get every cast off if you have a mage, and the mage can spell steal and it'll just increase his damage by a lot. He'll summon the pools everywhere, you just kind of have to move out of them. And he'll also summon an elemental. The elemental is top priority when it's out. It will run towards a furnace. That's not really the main problem, but it'll never reach the furnace. Because assuming your DPS is good enough. But the main problem that it does is while it's running to the furnace, it is pulsing AoE to the raid, and this is a lot of damage to deal with. It's actually the most damaging ability of this fight. But one thing you can do to stop the damage is stun it. So you see as I asphyxiate him there, while he's asphyxiated or stunned, he cannot do damage to the raid. So just make sure you stun him, like have a stun rotation. I got the first stun, and then like our monk can get the second stun, and Shadow Fury the third one. Just make sure they're always stunned for the most part, and it'll reduce the damage that you guys take considerably. They also are grippable, so go ahead and grip them back if they're getting too far away, and that'll be fine. If your time was good and you chain pulled correctly and you invis correctly and you didn't wipe, this should be a pretty easy gold for you to get. If not, just relook at what you could do better, and you know, just pull it again. Getting a feel for the pulls is really the most important thing you can do. Besides that, that's it for that guide. If you see, as you see in front of you, you can click on any of the videos that you see, and you can just go to that challenge mode guide. And as always, subscribe if you enjoyed the guide. Leave comments if you have a comment to leave, something to improve, or if you have a question, go ahead and leave that. And other than that, have a good day.